The text message wasn't meant for me. That's what made it so perfect, so brutally, crystallinely perfect. He's too embarrassing to bring anywhere that matters. God, I can't wait until this is over. I stared at my wife Charlotte's phone screen, the glow illuminating my oil-stained fingers in our dark garage. She'd left it on the workbench while grabbing her designer purse from the car. My hands, rough from 20 years of turning wrenches, trembled slightly as I read the words again. I'm Danny Miller, 38 years old, owner of Miller's Auto Repair, and apparently an embarrassment. The kind of embarrassment you hide from your country club friends while you drain his bank account and screw someone more presentable. Charlotte walked back in, heels clicking on concrete. Ready, babe? Her smile was practiced, perfect. The same smile she'd given me on our wedding day 10 years ago, back when I was a novelty. The authentic guy who worked with his hands. Back before she realized authentic meant I'd show up to her precious events smelling like motor oil instead of cologne that cost more than my monthly insurance premium. Yeah, I said, handing her the phone. Have fun at your charity thing. She kissed my cheek without really touching me. Don't wait up. These things run late. I watched her Mercedes, the one I'd bought her last Christmas, pull out of our driveway. Then I opened the tracking app on my phone. The same app she'd insisted we both install for safety. Funny how safety works both ways. Her car didn't head toward the Riverside Country Club. It went straight to the Pinnacle Towers downtown, apartment 2847. I'd seen that address before, buried in her credit card statements. Emergency hotel stay during that conference, she'd said. Except the Pinnacle wasn't a hotel. It was luxury condos, and apartment 2847 belonged to Blaine Foster, real estate broker extraordinaire, and apparently my wife's preferred engine to rev. I sat in my truck across the street for 2 hours. When she finally emerged, her hair was different. Her lipstick was gone. Blaine stood in the doorway, all slicked back hair and a smile that probably closed deals and ruined marriages with equal efficiency. I drove home, didn't confront her, didn't scream or break things. Instead, I opened my laptop and started making calls. Because here's what Charlotte never understood about being a mechanic. You learn patience. You learn that the most complex problems require careful planning. You learn that rushing gets you nowhere. But precision? Precision gets you everything. And I was about to tune up her entire life. Charlotte came home at 2 a.m. I was in bed, pretending to sleep, when she slipped under the covers, smelling like expensive cologne I'd never owned. "Danny?" she whispered. I didn't answer, let her think I was out cold. She sighed, relief, not disappointment, and rolled away. The next morning, I made coffee while she primped in her vanity room. That's what she called it. Not a bathroom, a vanity room. $7,000 worth of mirrors, lights, and marble countertops, so she could transform herself into the woman who thought I wasn't good enough. "I'm meeting Monica and Vanessa for brunch," she announced, appearing in a dress that cost more than my best hydraulic lift. "Then we have the club committee meeting this afternoon." The club. I sipped my coffee. Right, the place I'm too embarrassing for. She froze, mascara wand halfway to her lashes. "What?" "Nothing, have fun." Her eyes narrowed. Charlotte wasn't stupid, just arrogant. There's a difference. "You're being weird." "I'm always weird, apparently. That's kind of my thing." She left without kissing me goodbye. I waited exactly 15 minutes, then called Richard Lawson. Richard owned 49% of the Riverside Country Club. Old money, older whiskey, and a sense of humor dry enough to cure leather. We'd met years ago when his vintage Corvette needed a complete restoration. I'd done it for half my usual rate because I loved the car. He'd never forgotten. "Danny Miller," his gravelly voice answered. "To what do I owe this pleasure?" "I want to buy into the club." Silence, then a low chuckle. "Your wife know about this?" "Not yet. That's the point." "I'm listening." "You've been looking for a buyer for that remaining 51%. Old man Patterson's estate still tied up in probate, right? You've done your homework. I'm a mechanic, Richard. Homework is what I do. I've got the capital, liquid. Can wire it today. Another pause. This about what I think it's about? Probably. Well, hell, I always liked you better than her anyway. Come by my office at 3. Bring your checkbook and a good lawyer. I hung up and smiled. Charlotte wanted to play in a world where money and status mattered more than character. Fine. I'd show her I could buy and sell that world before lunch. My best friend Ray tended bar at the club. He'd worked there for 15 years, seen every scandal, heard every secret whispered over martinis. When I walked into his apartment that afternoon, after signing papers that made me co-owner of the most exclusive social club in 3 counties, he nearly dropped his beer. You did what? Bought the club. Well, 51%. Richard kept his share. Ray, 6'4" of former college linebacker turned professional beverage artist, sat down hard on his couch. Danny, brother, what the hell are you planning? Remember when Charlotte told you I couldn't come to her birthday party there last year? Said it was women only? Yeah, and I served drinks to at least a dozen guys that night. Exactly. I cracked open the beer he'd handed me. She's been screwing Blaine Foster, real estate guy, slick hair, slicker smile, drives a BMW he can't actually afford. The guy who's always hitting on the married women? Jesus, Danny. I've got evidence, texts, locations, the works, but I'm not going to divorce her yet. First, I'm going to make sure everyone in her precious social circle knows exactly what she is. Then I'm going to take everything. Ray whistled low. That's cold, man. She called me embarrassing, Ray, to her friends, said she couldn't wait until this, meaning our marriage, was over, while spending my money and sleeping in my house. I took a long drink. Cold doesn't begin to cover what I'm planning. What do you need from me? Eyes and ears. The club's spring gala is in 2 weeks. I want to know everyone who's coming, everything that's planned, and I want you to make sure I'm on that guest list as a surprise. Charlotte's going to lose her mind. That's the idea. The next few days, I played the perfect oblivious husband, made dinner, asked about her day, pretended not to notice when she worked late 3 nights in a row. Each night, I watched her location ping from Blaine's apartment. Meanwhile, I met with Richard to plan the gala. He was having entirely too much fun with this. We'll announce the ownership change during the welcome speech, he said, swirling bourbon in his office. I'll introduce you as my new partner. The look on her face alone will be worth the price of admission. I want to give a speech. Naturally. What are you going to say? Haven't decided yet. But it'll be memorable. Richard grinned. You know, I always thought Charlotte was a social climbing piece of work. The way she'd talk about you to her friends when you weren't around, like you were some kind of trained pet she kept in the garage. My jaw tightened. You heard that? Danny, everyone heard it. The staff, the members, everyone. Most of us just felt bad for you. Some of us, like Monica and Vanessa, thought it was hilarious. They're just as bad as she is. Monica and Vanessa, Charlotte's best friends, if people like that had friends. Monica had married a hedge fund manager 20 years older than her. Vanessa was on husband number 3, each one wealthier than the last. Together, they formed a trinity of entitlement that made Marie Antoinette look humble. They're all going to be at the gala? Front row seats. Monica's on the planning committee. Perfect. Charlotte came home that Friday actually smiling at me. Dangerous sign. Guess what? She set down her shopping bags. Prada, Gucci, the usual suspects. I got us tickets to the spring gala. Well, I got me a ticket. I know it's not really your scene, but... Actually, I interrupted. I'd love to go. She blinked. What? The gala. I want to go with you. Danny, it's black tie, very formal. There's a whole protocol. I can rent a tux, Charlotte. I'm not a complete barbarian. Her mouth opened and closed. She was trapped, Saying no outright would reveal too much. Okay, sure. That's great. The panic in her eyes was delicious. I'll even get the tux from that place you like, the expensive one downtown. You don't have to. I want to. It's important to you, so it's important to me. I smiled. The same smile I'd give a customer right before explaining their transmission was completely shot. We should do more things together, don't you think? She managed a nod, but her hands shook slightly as she picked up her bags. I need to make a call. I bet she did. Probably to Blaine, probably panicking about how to manage both of us at the same event. Let her squirm. This was just the beginning. That night, after Charlotte went to bed early with a headache, I met Ray at Murphy's, a blue-collar bar 3 towns over where none of Charlotte's crowd would ever set foot. She took the bait? Ray asked. Hook, line, and sinker. She's terrified. What about Foster? That's phase 2. I hired someone to look into him. Ray raised an eyebrow. Someone? Private investigator. Guy named Grady. Old school, Chandler type. Works out of a crappy office downtown and charges reasonable rates because he actually gives a damn about the work. You're going full noir on this. Charlotte wanted drama. I'm giving her a whole damn production. My phone buzzed. Text from Grady. Got something. Meet tomorrow, 10 a.m. I showed Ray. He whistled. That was fast. Good investigators are like good mechanics. They know where to look and what questions to ask. We drank in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Ray asked the question I'd been avoiding. You okay, man? I mean, really? Was I? My wife was cheating on me. My marriage was a lie. Everything I'd built with her was constructed on sand. But instead of hurt, all I felt was cold, calculating anger. The kind of anger that doesn't explode. It plans. I will be, I said, once this is over. Grady's office was exactly what I expected. 3rd floor walk-up, frosted glass door with peeling letters, and furniture that hadn't been updated since Carter was president. The man himself was 60-something, gray-haired, with eyes that had seen every shade of human ugliness and weren't impressed anymore. Mr. Miller. He gestured to a chair that creaked under my weight. Your boy Blaine Foster is quite a piece of work. He slid a folder across the desk. I opened it. 3 affairs in the last 2 years, all with married women, all members of your wife's club. 2 of them ended in divorces. In both cases, Foster got a cut. The women hired him to handle the real estate sales of the marital homes, gave him exclusive listings on their new properties. He's basically seducing his way to commissions. Jesus. Gets better. He owes money. Gambling debts mostly. Underground poker games. He's into some serious people for about 60 grand. The kind of people who break kneecaps when you're late on payments. So he's targeting Charlotte for money. Your wife's credit cards show regular cash advances. 500 here, 1,000 there. Over the last 6 months, she's pulled out nearly 20 grand in cash. You notice any of this? I hadn't. We had separate accounts for daily expenses, joint for major bills. I'd trusted her. Stupid. There's more. Grady pulled out another document. Foster's been married twice. Both times he cheated. Second wife took him to the cleaners, which is probably why he's broke now. Guy's a professional scumbag. Can I keep these? Copies are yours. I'd say use them wisely, but something tells me you've got a plan. Something like that. We shook hands. His grip was firm, honest. For what it's worth, Mr. Miller, I've done a lot of these cases. Usually the betrayed spouse just wants out. You're different. You want justice. Is there a difference? He smiled, tired and knowing. Sometimes. Good luck. I spent the weekend being the model husband. Took Charlotte to her favorite brunch spot, complimented her dress, held her hand. She was confused but played along, probably hoping I was too stupid to notice anything wrong. Sunday night, she went to Vanessa's house for wine and gossip. I followed her, not to Vanessa's sprawling estate, but to Blaine's apartment again. This time, I didn't just watch. I waited. At midnight, when she left and Blaine walked her to her car, I stepped out of the shadows of the parking garage. "Evening, Blaine." He jumped. Actually jumped. "Who? Danny?" "That's Mr. Miller to you." I walked closer. I'm not a big guy, 5'10", average build, but 20 years of physical labor puts muscle in places gym memberships don't reach. And I was angry. Really, truly angry for the first time since this started. "Listen, man, I don't know what you think. I think you've been sleeping with my wife. I think you've been using her for money. I think you're a parasite who preys on bored, stupid women because you're too much of a failure to make it on your own." His face went red. "You can't talk to me like—" I slammed my hand on the hood of his BMW. The sound echoed through the garage. "I can talk to you however I want. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop seeing Charlotte. You're going to stop taking her money. And you're going to disappear from her life. Or what? Or I make sure everyone at the club knows you're broke, desperate, and sleeping with married women for their money. I make sure your gambling debts become public knowledge. I make sure every door in this town closes in your face." He tried to look tough. Failed. "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone, showed him photos Grady had provided. Blaine entering the underground poker room. Blaine, with another woman, one of his previous marks. Bank statements showing his accounts in the red. "I'm a mechanic, Blaine. I fix things, and right now, you're a problem that needs fixing." I walked away, leaving him pale and shaking in the garage. As I reached my truck, I pulled out a small Bluetooth tracker, the kind you can buy online for $20, and casually tossed it under his car. It stuck to the undercarriage with a magnetic click. Now I'd know everywhere he went, every move he made. The week before the gala, Charlotte was a nervous wreck. She snapped at me over breakfast, spent hours on the phone with Monica and Vanessa, changed her dress choice 4 times. I played dumb, asked if everything was okay, offered to cancel if she was stressed. "No," she said too quickly. "No, it's fine. I want you there." Liar. I picked up my tux on Wednesday. Custom-fitted, black, classic. The tailor, an old Italian man who'd been in business 50 years, nodded approvingly. "You clean up good, Mr. Miller. Special occasion?" "Very special." Thursday, I met with Richard and Ray at the club to finalize details. The staff was in on it. Most of them had seen how Charlotte treated me over the years. Nina, the events coordinator, actually hugged me when she heard the plan. "She called me the help last month," Nina said. To my face. "I've been coordinating events for 15 years, and she called me the help." "Not anymore," I said. "After Saturday, things are going to change around here." Richard raised his glass. To new management and old scores. We drank to that. Friday night, Charlotte went out again. "Last-minute gala planning," she said. The tracker on Blaine's car showed him at his apartment. Her phone showed the same location. I sat in my garage, surrounded by tools and engines, and thought about what I was about to do. Part of me, a small part, wondered if I was going too far, if public humiliation was really the answer. Then I remembered her text. Too embarrassing to bring anywhere that matters. I picked up a wrench and got back to work on the vintage Mustang I was restoring. Some things were worth saving. My marriage wasn't one of them. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunny, 70 degrees, not a cloud in sight. The kind of day that made you believe good things were possible. I put on my tux at home while Charlotte got ready in her vanity room. When I finally saw her, I had to admit she looked stunning. Emerald green dress, hair swept up, diamonds at her throat. Diamonds I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary. "You look beautiful," I said honestly. She seemed surprised. "Thank you. You look really good, actually." "Don't sound so shocked." We drove separately, she insisted, said she had to arrive early for committee duties. Fine by me. Gave me time to prepare. The Riverside Country Club sat on 20 acres of manicured perfection. The main building was old money elegant, white columns, brick facade, gardens that required a full-time staff of 6. Inside, crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. The ballroom could hold 300 people comfortably. Tonight, it held about 250. The cream of local society, dressed in their finest, drinking champagne that cost more per bottle than most people's car payments. I arrived exactly on time, 7 p.m. Parked my truck right in front, between a Tesla and a Porsche. Walked through the main entrance like I owned the place. Because I did. Charlotte was near the bar with Monica and Vanessa. All 3 women froze when they saw me. Monica's expression was priceless, like she'd just discovered a rat in her salad. "Danny!" Charlotte rushed over, her smile brittle. "You made it!" Wouldn't miss it. I kissed her cheek. She smelled like fear under her perfume. Monica and Vanessa approached, their dresses probably costing more than my truck. Monica, blonde and surgically enhanced, looked me up and down. "Danny, what a surprise." "Ladies," I nodded. "You both look lovely." Vanessa, dark-haired and sharp-eyed, exchanged a glance with Charlotte. "We didn't realize you were coming. Last-minute decision. Charlotte's been talking about this event for weeks. Thought I should see what all the fuss was about." The opening speeches were scheduled for 7:30. I excused myself, ostensibly to use the restroom, and found Richard in his office. "Ready?" he asked. "More than ready." "Your wife's been asking the staff if they knew you were coming. She's panicking." "Good." At 7:30, everyone gathered in the ballroom. Richard took the stage, distinguished in his tuxedo, a microphone in hand. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our annual spring gala. Before we begin the festivities, I have an important announcement regarding the club's ownership." The room went quiet. Charlotte, standing with her friends near the front, looked confused. "As many of you know, the Patterson estate has been in probate for over a year. We've finally resolved the ownership of the remaining 51% stake in the club." He paused for effect. "I'm pleased to introduce my new partner and co-owner of the Riverside Country Club, Danny Miller." The silence was deafening. Then confused applause started, scattered and uncertain. I walked to the stage, and the applause died as people realized who I was. Charlotte's husband, the mechanic, the guy who wasn't good enough for their world. I took the microphone. "Thank you, Richard, and thank you all for being here tonight." I scanned the crowd, found Charlotte. Her face was white. "I know some of you are surprised to see me, surprised that someone like me could be standing here, co-owner of this establishment. But here's the thing about money. It doesn't care where it comes from. It doesn't care if you earned it with your hands or inherited it from your grandfather. It spends the same either way." A few uncomfortable laughs. Monica and Vanessa looked horrified. "I've been a member here for 5 years, thanks to my wife Charlotte. In that time, I've learned a lot about this community, about what you value, about who you are." I paused. "And I've learned that appearances matter more than character, that being presentable matters more than being honest, that fitting in matters more than being real." Charlotte was shaking her head, mouthing "stop" at me. "So I want to thank you all for teaching me that lesson, and I want to assure you that under my co-ownership, things are going to change. We're going to value substance over style. We're going to welcome people based on merit, not just money. We're going to remember that respect is earned, not bought." I handed the microphone back to Richard and walked off stage. The room erupted in whispers. Charlotte grabbed my arm the second I was within reach. "What the hell are you doing?" she hissed. "Owning my investment. Problem?" "You humiliated me." "No, Charlotte, I told the truth. If that humiliates you, maybe you should think about why." She stormed off, Monica and Vanessa trailing behind her like confused ducklings. I watched them huddle in the corner, Charlotte's hands gesturing wildly. Then I saw her pull out her phone. 30 seconds later, Blaine Foster walked in. He cleaned up well, I'd give him that. Expensive suit, confident stride. He made a beeline for Charlotte's group. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but Charlotte was clearly upset, and Blaine kept touching her arm in a way that was way too familiar for just friends. Ray appeared at my elbow with a whiskey. That's him? That's him. Want me to accidentally spill a drink on him? Not yet. Let them think they're safe. The gala continued. Dinner was served. Filet mignon and lobster tail, naturally. I sat at the head table with Richard and the board members. Charlotte was relegated to a side table, a deliberate choice by Richard. Every time I glanced over, she was staring at me with pure hatred. After dinner, the dancing started. I watched Charlotte and Blaine slip out to the terrace. I followed, staying in the shadows. "Can't believe he did this," Charlotte was saying. "He's ruining everything." "Calm down." Blaine's voice was smooth, practiced. "So he bought into the club. So what? Doesn't change anything between us." "It changes everything. How am I supposed to explain this to my parents? To my friends?" "You don't have to explain anything. Look, once the divorce goes through, you'll get half of everything, including his share of this place. Then we can—" "Half won't be enough, Blaine. I need more than half. I've put up with him for 10 years. I deserve more." I'd heard enough. I stepped out of the shadows. Interesting conversation. They jumped apart. Charlotte went pale. Blaine tried to look innocent and failed spectacularly. "Danny, this isn't what? Isn't you and your lover planning how to rob me blind in a divorce? Because that's exactly what it sounded like." "You're insane," Charlotte said, but her voice shook. "Am I? Blaine, tell me something. How much money has Charlotte given you over the last 6 months? Ballpark figure." His face went red. "I don't know what you're talking about." $20,000. Cash advances from her credit cards, which are linked to my accounts, by the way. So really, you've been spending my money to pay off your gambling debts. Charlotte's eyes went wide. "How do you—" "No, I'm not stupid, Charlotte. I'm just a mechanic. We're good at figuring out how things work." I turned to Blaine. "I warned you. I told you to stay away from her. You didn't listen." "You don't scare me," Blaine said, but he took a step back. "I should. Because tomorrow morning, every member of this club is going to receive an email. It'll contain evidence of your affairs, your debts, and your pattern of using women for money. By Monday, you won't be able to sell a doghouse in this town." "You can't do that." "Watch me." I looked at Charlotte. "And you. We'll talk about the divorce on Monday. My lawyer will contact yours. I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn that the house, the cars, and most of our assets are in my name only. Turns out you should have paid more attention to what you were signing over the years." I walked away, leaving them both speechless on the terrace. Inside, the party was in full swing. I found Richard at the bar. "Phase 1 complete. I heard Nina has the security footage from the terrace, audio and everything." "Perfect. You're a cold son of a bitch, Danny. I respect that." The rest of the evening was a blur. Charlotte and Blaine left separately, both looking destroyed. Monica and Vanessa tried to approach me, probably for damage control, but I brushed them off. The other guests kept their distance, unsure how to treat the new owner who'd just blown up his marriage in public. I didn't care. I'd fired the first shot. Now it was time for the war. Sunday morning, I woke up in my house alone. Charlotte hadn't come home. Fine by me. I made coffee, fed the dog, a golden retriever named Hank, who was the only family member who still liked me unconditionally, and checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Charlotte, 8 from her mother, Patricia, 3 from numbers I didn't recognize, and 1 text from Ray. "Dude, you're all over social media. Call me." I opened Facebook. Sure enough, someone had filmed my speech and Charlotte's terrace meltdown. The videos had been shared hundreds of times. The comments were brutal. "Gold digger got caught. About time someone stood up to these entitled snobs. That mechanic guy is my hero." There were defenders too, mostly Charlotte's friends, calling me abusive and controlling. Monica had posted a long rant about how I'd humiliated a good woman for my own ego. The irony was stunning. I called Ray. This is insane. You're viral, brother. Local news is even picking it up. Mechanic buys country club, exposes cheating wife. You're like a blue-collar superhero. I don't feel like a hero. Maybe not, but you feel better than you did last week, right? He wasn't wrong. Monday morning, Charlotte showed up at my shop. I was under a Honda Civic, replacing a transmission, when I heard heels clicking on concrete. Danny! I rolled out on the creeper. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, yesterday's clothes. Shop's not open yet. We need to talk. Talk to my lawyer. I gave you his number. I'm not talking to a lawyer. I'm talking to you. Her voice cracked. How could you do this to me? I stood up, wiped my hands on a rag. How could I? Charlotte, you cheated on me. You spent my money on your lover. You called me embarrassing to your friends, and you were planning to take me for everything in a divorce. How could I do this? How could you? I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. What you did was a choice, multiple choices, over months. She started crying. Real tears, not the manipulative kind she used to get her way. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Danny, we can fix this. No, we can't. It's over. My parents are furious. My friends won't talk to me. I lost my job. The firm said I was creating a negative image. I have nothing. You have Blaine. Oh wait, no you don't. He stopped returning your calls, didn't he? Her face confirmed it. He was using you, Charlotte, just like you were using me. Difference is I actually loved you. He just loved your money. I loved you too. No, you didn't. You loved what I could give you. The house, the car, the lifestyle. But you never loved me. I walked back to the Honda. Lock the door on your way out. She stood there for a long moment, crying. Then she left. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. That afternoon, I met with my lawyer, Tom Brennan. He was 50, sharp as a razor, and had handled my business contracts for years. This is going to be ugly, he said, reviewing the prenup Charlotte had signed without reading. But you're in a strong position. The prenup is airtight. She gets the car in her name and whatever's in her personal account. Everything else is yours. She'll fight it. Let her. We have evidence of infidelity, misuse of marital funds, and intent to defraud. No judge will side with her. What about Blaine? Tom smiled. I took the liberty of contacting his creditors. They're very interested in his current financial situation. He's going to have bigger problems than your wife. You're a vicious man, Tom. You pay me to be. Wednesday, Charlotte's parents invited me to dinner. Well, invited is generous. Patricia called and demanded I come to their estate to discuss this situation like adults. I went. Not because I owed them anything, but because I wanted to see their faces. The Patterson estate was old money incarnate. 15 rooms, a circular driveway, staff quarters. Patricia and Henry Patterson had never worked a day in their lives. They'd inherited everything and spent their time judging people who actually earned their keep. Patricia answered the door. 65, perfectly coiffed, dripping in pearls. Danny, come in. The dining room was formal. China that cost more than my truck, crystal glasses, a chandelier that probably required its own insurance policy. Henry sat at the head of the table, looking like a disappointed king. Sit, he commanded. I sat. Patricia poured wine. We need to discuss Charlotte's future. She doesn't have a future with me. That's not up for discussion. You're being unreasonable, Henry said. So she made a mistake. Marriage is about forgiveness. Forgiveness requires remorse. Charlotte's only sorry she got caught. You humiliated her publicly, Patricia snapped. You ruined her reputation, cost her her job, and destroyed her social standing. What kind of man does that? The kind of man whose wife cheated on him and planned to rob him blind. What kind of parents raise a daughter who thinks that's acceptable? The room went silent. Henry's face turned purple. How dare you? I dare because it's true. You raised Charlotte to think she's entitled to everything and accountable for nothing. You taught her that appearances matter more than character. You made her what she is. Get out, Patricia said coldly. Gladly. I stood. But before I go, let me make something clear. I'm not giving Charlotte anything beyond what the prenup stipulates. I'm not backing down, and if you try to interfere, legally, socially, whatever, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of family you are, the kind that protects cheaters and attacks honest people. I left them speechless at their expensive table. Thursday. The club drama reached new heights. Monica and Vanessa had been spreading rumors that I'd abused Charlotte, that I'd trapped her in a controlling marriage, that everything was my fault. Richard, bless him, banned them both from the club pending a review of their memberships. You can't do this, Monica shrieked when security informed her at the door. Actually, we can, Richard said calmly. Spreading false accusations about a co-owner violates our conduct policy. You'll have a chance to appeal, but until then, you're not welcome here. The video of Monica being escorted out by security went viral too. The internet was having a field day with the whole saga. Friday, I got a call from Detective Grady. Thought you'd want to know. Foster's been arrested. For what? Fraud. Turns out he's been running a real estate scam, inflating property values and pocketing the difference. The investigation started months ago, but your information helped them build a case. He's looking at 5 to 10 years. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt tired. Thanks for letting me know. Miller? For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Guys like Foster, they keep hurting people until someone stops them. You stopped him. Maybe. Or maybe I'd just been collateral damage in a bigger story. The divorce was finalized in record time. 6 weeks. Charlotte didn't fight. She couldn't, not with the evidence stacked against her. She got her car, $10,000 from her personal account, and nothing else. I heard through Ray that she'd moved back in with her parents, that she was working as a receptionist at a dental office, that she'd gained weight and stopped dyeing her hair. Part of me felt bad for her. Most of me didn't. The club thrived under new management. Richard and I opened membership to a wider demographic. We hired staff based on skill, not connections. We turned the place into something real instead of just a playground for the wealthy. Monica and Vanessa's memberships were permanently revoked after the appeals process revealed they'd been embezzling from club charity funds. Turned out, I wasn't the only one investigating. That went viral too. My shop expanded. Turns out, being a viral sensation is good for business. People drove from 3 counties away to get their cars fixed by that mechanic who owned the country club. I hired 2 more mechanics and started turning a serious profit. Life was good. Different, but good. 3 months after the divorce, Charlotte showed up at the shop again. This time she looked better, healthier, less made up, but more real. Danny, can we talk? I wiped my hands. Sure. We sat in my office. She looked around at the automotive posters, the coffee maker that was older than our marriage, the comfortable chaos of a working man's space. I owe you an apology, she said. A real one. Not because I want anything, but because you deserve it. Okay. I was awful to you, for years. I treated you like you were less than me because you worked with your hands, because you didn't fit into the world I wanted to live in, and I cheated because I was selfish and stupid and thought I deserved more than what I had. She looked at me, but the truth is I had everything. I had a man who loved me, who worked hard, who was honest and kind, and I threw it away because I was too blind to see what mattered. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I lost. What I did. She stood. You're a good man, Danny Miller. I hope you find someone who appreciates that. She left. I sat there for a long time, thinking about revenge and justice and whether there was really a difference. I'd destroyed her life, systematically, methodically, completely. She'd lost her marriage, her job, her friends, her reputation, everything, and I'd won. I had the club, the business, the respect of the community. I'd proven that I wasn't just a mechanic, that I was smart and capable and worthy. But sitting in my office, alone, I wondered if winning felt the way I'd thought it would. 6 months later, I met someone. Her name was Jennifer, and she was a teacher at the local elementary school. She drove a beat-up Toyota that needed constant repairs, which is how we met. She laughed at my jokes, didn't care about country clubs, and thought getting her hands dirty was fun, not embarrassing. On our third date, she asked about Charlotte. I told her the whole story. "That's quite a revenge," she said. "You think I went too far?" She thought about it. "I think you did what you needed to do. She hurt you, and you hurt her back. That's human. But the question is, are you done hurting, or are you still angry?" I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Somewhere along the way, between the divorce and the club and building a new life, I'd let it go. "I'm done," I said. "Good. Because I really like you, Danny Miller. But I don't want to date someone who's still fighting the last war." I kissed her. It felt like starting over. A year after the divorce, the club held its anniversary gala, bigger than ever, with twice the attendance and actual diversity. Real people, not just trust fund babies. I gave a speech about community and second chances and how everyone deserves respect, regardless of their job or bank account. Charlotte wasn't there. I heard she'd moved to another state, started over somewhere nobody knew her story. I hoped she was happy. I really did. After the speech, Jennifer found me at the bar. "That was beautiful." "Think so?" "I know so. You turned something ugly into something good. That takes real strength." Ray brought us drinks. To new beginnings. We toasted. Around us, the club buzzed with life and laughter. Real laughter, not the fake kind that comes from people trying to impress each other. I looked around at what I'd built, not just the club, but the life, the business, the relationships, the respect. I'd started this journey wanting revenge, wanting to hurt Charlotte the way she'd hurt me. But somewhere along the way, I'd found something better. I'd found myself. 2 years after the divorce, I sold my share of the club back to Richard. I didn't need it anymore. The point had been made, the lesson learned. I took the money and expanded my shop, opened a second location, started a training program for young mechanics. Charlotte sent me a letter. She was engaged, she said, to a teacher, someone kind and patient who loved her for who she was, not what she could give him. She was happy. She hoped I was too. I wrote back, told her congratulations, told her I was happy too, meant it. Jennifer and I got married in a small ceremony at Murphy's Bar. No country club, no fancy dress, no pretense, just friends and family and people who actually mattered. On our wedding night, she asked if I ever regretted how things went down with Charlotte. Sometimes, I admitted, I could have just divorced her quietly, moved on. Instead, I made it a war. But she needed to learn that actions have consequences, that you can't treat people like they're disposable and expect no repercussions. Maybe I went too far, maybe I didn't. Either way, it's done. And you're okay with that? I thought about it. About Charlotte crying in my shop. About her parents' faces at dinner. About Monica and Vanessa being escorted out by security. About Blaine in handcuffs. About all the pain and humiliation I'd caused. "Yeah," I said, "I'm okay with it. Because the truth is, some people need to fall before they can learn to stand." Charlotte had fallen, hard, but she'd gotten back up, she'd learned, she'd changed, and so had I. I'd learned that revenge is a tool, not a solution, that justice and vengeance aren't the same thing, that winning doesn't always feel the way you think it will, But I'd also learned that standing up for yourself matters, that letting people walk all over you doesn't make you noble, it makes you a doormat, that sometimes you have to fight back. Charlotte had called me embarrassing. She'd treated me like I was less than her. She'd cheated and lied and planned to rob me. And I'd made her pay for it. Completely. Publicly. Permanently. Was it right? Was it fair? I don't know. But it was done. And I was finally free. 5 years later, I ran into Charlotte at a grocery store. She was with her husband and a baby. She looked genuinely happy. "Danny," she said, surprised. "Charlotte, how are you?" "Good, really good." She introduced her husband, Mark. Nice guy, firm handshake, kind eyes. "This is Emma." The baby gurgled. "Congratulations." "You too. I heard you got married. Jennifer, right?" "Right. We're expecting our first in a few months." We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then Charlotte said, "I never thanked you." "For what?" "For destroying my life. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. I was a terrible person. Entitled, selfish, cruel. What you did, it forced me to look at myself. To change. I'm a better person now because of it." I didn't know what to say to that. "I'm not saying you were right to do what you did, but I'm saying I understand why you did it, and I'm saying it worked. So, thank you." We parted ways. I watched her walk away with her new family, and I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. Maybe revenge isn't about destroying someone. Maybe it's about forcing them to see the truth. Maybe it's about justice, accountability, consequences. Or maybe it's just about making sure that when someone hurts you, they don't get away with it. Either way, Charlotte learned her lesson. I learned mine. And we both moved on. Jennifer and I named our daughter Grace. She's 3 now, obsessed with trucks and dinosaurs. Sometimes, when I'm teaching her about engines, I think about everything that happened with Charlotte. About the revenge, the pain, the fallout. And I think about how that chapter of my life, ugly as it was, led me here. To Jennifer, to Grace, to a life that's real and honest and good. Charlotte wanted a fairy tale. She wanted the prince, the castle, the perfect Instagram life. She wanted appearances and status and everything that doesn't actually matter. I gave her reality instead. Harsh, unforgiving, brutal reality. And in the end, reality saved both of us. She found happiness with someone who actually loved her. I found happiness with someone who actually saw me. We both learned that what you show the world matters less than what you actually are. So was my revenge worth it? Did I go too far? I'll let you decide. All I know is this. Charlotte called me embarrassing. She said I wasn't good enough for her world. She treated me like I was disposable. And I made sure she never made that mistake again. Not with me, not with anyone. Because I'm Danny Miller. I'm a mechanic. I work with my hands, I fix things, and I don't let people walk over me. And if that makes me a villain, so be it. At least I'm an honest one.